Life is so fragile, and we're constantly reminded just how fragile life can be, especially when we or a loved one is told we have cancer. Cancer survivor myself, I can tell you, we still feel very alone in this journey.
There's a study that's been shown that patients who are socially isolated have a worse prognosis, have a worse outcome than patients who are socially interconnected.
Buddies for Life is a non-profit cancer support group for those whose life has been impacted by cancer. We'll match you with the perfect buddy. Humor, hope, heart, and hugs.
Humor, hope, heart, hugs, and a whole lot of love.
We're offering you a free membership, so please sign up today. Share this with your friends and family, and support this community in every way you can. No one should face cancer alone.
I am a chemo buddy for life.
We are a buddies network.
No one does cancer alone.
Be a buddy.
And we are all here for you as a community of love.
We are chemo buddies for life.
And if you've heard 3 words, you have cancer, for yourself or someone else, you belong with us at Chemo Buddies for Life.
Healing through connections.
Good morning, good morning, good morning, good morning, good morning, good morning, good Monday morning to everyone. Good morning, Barbara. Good morning, everyone. It is Monday, the best day of the week. Welcome, everyone, to the You're Selling Too Hard show. My name is Marty, Jalove. I am so proud to be part of the Diamond Factor Experience show, the place where you need to go every single morning of the week to get this exciting news, get re-energized, and learn something new every single day. So what I always tell everyone is this: we are always selling. No matter what we're doing throughout life, we are always selling. Whether you are pushing fruit smoothies on a cruise ship or you are renting snorkeling equipment on the beach, no matter what you're doing, you're always selling. And my friends, if you're not having fun, you're selling too hard. So you might ask, what does this talk about the beach and the cruise ship, Marty? What's the background here about the ocean? Well, I want to tell you a little bit of a story that happened a while ago while I was on a cruise. So it's all about the ocean and just having some fun and a learning experience that I want to share with you. But before we get into that, I want to kind of review. I want to review what we did last week so that it's fresh in your mind. And I wanted to keep doing this every week. I want to review what we did the week before so that you'll remember what this is, and you'll see how everything kind of ties in together, because I want to help you become a better salesperson, not just if you're pushing a product or a service, but a better salesperson throughout life, talking to your children, talking to your loved ones, talking to people in general. Remember, we are always selling, and if you're not having fun, you're selling too hard. So last week, we talked about the 6 factors that help people make the decision to buy directly from you. It's based on this. If all things are equal, why are they going to buy something from you instead of someone else? And these are the 6 factors we want to look at. So let's talk about that guy who was selling fruit smoothies on the cruise ship. Okay, so factor number 1 is F, fondness, likability. Well, he was just full of energy, more than me. And every morning he'd say, "Good morning, Marty." And I'd be excited. Of course, I had to buy from him because of his excitement. He was so likable. I loved talking with him every single morning. So I had a certain fondness for him. If you can develop that type of a relationship with your customers, you'll be better off. It'll be easier for them to buy from you. Second is authority. Well, this guy looked fit. I mean, very, very well built and happy. And he seemed very knowledgeable about the nutrition of each of these smoothies. So he came across as an authority figure right away. I don't know if everything he said was necessarily correct, but he came across as an authority figure because I said, if this guy was drinking fruit smoothies every day, I should be drinking fruit smoothies to become that healthy. Next is consistency. Okay, once you start buying something on a regular basis, it's really easy to continue. And spending a week on a cruise ship, every morning drinking that same fruit smoothie, running into that same likable guy, it was very easy to buy the next one and the next one and the next one. That's what consistency is all about. Next, testimonials. This is another great way to get people to decide to buy directly from you. I wasn't the only one in the mornings talking to this guy. There were other people. Sometimes there was a long line, a short line, but there were other people. So just by looking, I could see, wow, a lot of other people liked it. They gave me those nonverbal testimonials that reassured me that I was making the right buying decision every morning. Next is O, out of stock. It basically means scarcity. I remember closer to the end of the cruise ship, the end of the week, I was kind of thinking, well, maybe I'll skip a day. Maybe I don't need to have a fruit smoothie. But he said, "Marty, I know how much you like the blueberry smoothies. I'm just letting you know that we're almost out of blueberries. I don't know if I'm going to have enough for the rest. You really need one today." So, of course, I thought we were running out of stock. I thought the flavor I liked was not going to be there. So, of course, I bought one more. This guy was a master at selling me. And lastly is reciprocation. What he did to first get me to try that fruit smoothie was he gave me free samples. He said, "Try this one. Here, try this one. Try this one." So just through reciprocation, him giving me something for free, I felt kind of obligated to do something for him, so I would buy the fruit smoothie. And he closed that sale so masterfully that every day for that entire week, I went back to him every single morning and continued to buy a fruit smoothie because he knew the 6 factors on how to make me buy directly from him. Now, I wish that the excitement of that cruise ship was all about the fruit smoothies, but something also happened when we had stopped on the shore of Haiti. We went to a small port there, and they told us just stay in this one little area. But the cruise ship had stopped, and we were going to go snorkeling. And there was a little spot where some shops and stuff, and it was really nice. And we were there with 2 couples, and we were having a nice time. We went out snorkeling. Now, I love swimming. I grew up swimming, and I just really, really enjoyed it. But I had never gone snorkeling before. And for somebody who really enjoyed swimming, snorkeling was a completely different experience. I don't know how many of you people have gone out there scuba diving or snorkeling or just plain swimming. There's a real difference between all of them. You have to really get used to breathing through this thing. So we swam out pretty far from the shore, okay? But it was safe. It was a nice, seemed like a nice clean area, and the water was crystal clear. They said we were looking down about 30 feet, and there was an old airplane or an airplane wing down there, and there were so many beautiful tropical fish. And we were sitting there looking through our masks at these fish, and it was gorgeous, absolutely gorgeous. If you ever get a chance to go snorkeling in a tropical ocean, I really just insist that you try it. It's breathtaking. My biggest problem was I couldn't get used to breathing through the snorkel, and the vest that they gave you a little vest. They give you flippers, a vest, a mask, and a snorkel. The vest kept deflating, and I had to keep grabbing the hose, blowing it up again. And it kept going through my head. I wonder how many people's lips were on this thing. I mean, it was a terrible way to start the day. But after a while, I just let it deflate, and I swam around. After a while, I felt like I just pulled the snorkel out of my mouth, and I was just looking through the water. Well, my friends and I, we were all having a really good time. And we heard some commotion. And I looked to the side, and quite a distance to my left, it looked like there was a couple, and they were all alone, and they were definitely in trouble. They both seemed to be going under the water and out of the water, and they were flailing their arms around. This was definitely some trouble. I looked at my friend, and I said, I think somebody over there is drowning. We freaked out. I pulled my vest off, take my mask off, and threw it at my guy, and swam there as fast as I could. Well, I had flippers on, and so I was, at that point in my life, I was a pretty fast swimmer, but with those flippers, I was much quicker. I was there so quickly, and I swam up to them, and I said, do you need any help? And the man immediately was like, no, I don't need any help. Get away from us. We're fine. We're fine. And I was like, okay, I'm sorry. And the woman looked at me, she goes, I'm drowning. Please help me. And those words, I just remember the look of fear in her face as she said this. So I grabbed her from under the arms, and treading water with these flippers, I lifted her up and I said, look at me, look at my eyes. You're going to be okay. You're okay. Calm down. And the man kept saying, leave her alone. She's fine. She's fine. And then he was like, why were you grabbing onto me? You almost drowned me too. And I was like, okay, everyone just calm down. And I looked at the man. I said, do you need help? And he goes, no, I don't need your help. And he was very abrupt with me. But I looked at the woman. I said, okay, we're going to slowly swim back to shore together. And just relax, take your time. And as we're doing this, as we're swimming there, and I'm holding her, now I'm not a lifeguard. I don't even know if I was doing this correctly or whatever, but I was trying to hold her with one arm, swimming with the other arm. And the whole time I'm doing this, the husband is yelling at me and yelling at her, why were you holding on to me? You almost took us both down. And she was saying, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. And as we're going on and on, I was starting to get really angry with this man. I was trying to continue to talk to her, to calm her down, but he continued to irritate the situation. And at some point, she said, can you check on my husband, make sure he's okay? And I thought, check on him. Why isn't he up here helping me bring you to shore? And as I turned around, I looked, he was barely staying above the water. He was sinking. His arms were flailing around like that. And I said, oh my God. I go, can he swim? And this woman answered to me the thing I never expected to hear. She said, he has no legs. He has no legs. I looked. This guy was bobbing in and out of the water. I was holding her up. So I reached over and grabbed him and pulled him up. And I said, are you okay? And he's like, I can't even breathe anymore. And I'm like, oh my gosh. And here we were, still quite a distance from the shore. I remember looking at the lifeguard up there who was just completely oblivious to us. And as we continued to swim forward, me trying to swim, holding both of them up, he continued to yell at her. She was scared to death. And eventually made it to the shore, to the shallow water, and the two of them sitting together in the shallow water, him continuing to berate her, and her just sitting there going, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. And I'm standing there. And I go, okay, you guys are okay. But at that point in time, they were just ignoring me completely. And I walked away. And I realized how we allow our emotions to take over all of our actions. Now, from a sales standpoint, I was selling this guy on the idea that I was here. I was going to help you, but he wasn't buying. He did not want this. And the reason he didn't want this was because he let his emotions take control of the situation. Now, when you think about it, angry, Who was angry? He was definitely angry. There was something that was angering him that he wanted nothing to do with a solution I was offering. Who else was angry? I was angry because while we were doing this, I was angry at him because he was not helping. He was hurting my situation of helping his wife. I couldn't understand it, and I allowed that anger to cloud my mind. Next is who was afraid? Who showed fear? Without a doubt, this woman was petrified. She was scared to death. Even when I was holding her, you could tell that she was still scared until she got to the shallow water. Now, I know the man was probably afraid too, but the way he took that fear was he turned it into anger, which is the wrong thing to do. You've got to learn how to take those emotions and somehow find the silver linings and turn them into happiness. Now, talking about that, the sadness was the next thing. And who was sad? Unfortunately, at the end, we were all sad because when we got there to the shore, I looked and they continued to argue. I didn't get that good feeling as I just walked away. In fact, I had seen them later on in the cruise ship, and I noticed them. They didn't recognize me. We never talked. I'm sure he was sad and she was sad as well. And then ideally happy. Who was happy? Unfortunately, maybe eventually we were all a little happy. They were happy because they made it to shore, but they never showed it. So my friends, what I want to explain to you, when it comes to the selling game, in the past, I told you about the 5 reasons, the 5 objections, the 5 reasons why people don't buy from you. We went over that in the past. I've gone over the 6 factors of why people buy directly from you. But what I want to do is I want to show you in a nutshell, these are the 3 things that you need. These are the 3 things that are by far the most important thing to think about during the selling cycle. It comes down very, very simple. The need. Does your customer or your prospect have a specific need that you think you can fill? Something that a product or service will fill that need. Okay, a direct need. That's what you've got to really look for. Next is the solution. Do you offer a solution that will fill that need? Not a solution that kind of gets close or selling them something that they don't really need. I'm talking about a solution that really fits that need so that you make a perfect match. Now, you would think in an ideal world, people will always need things and other people will always have the solutions. But when you come together like that, can those solutions, and you offer a solution to their need, but we run into the problem of the desire, the want. Sometimes people don't want your solution. They may not want your solution because they want a competitor's solution. That's one thing, and I understand that. But sometimes they may not want your solution for an emotional reason. Something inside them is stopping them from saying yes. Maybe they don't trust you. Maybe they feel like they're going to be taken advantage of, something. And it's up to you as a human being, as a salesperson, as a successful salesperson, to be able to identify why they don't have that want or desire for your product. Because when it comes down to just these 3 things, and you know the customer has a need, and you know you have the solution, sometimes the only thing that is separating you from a completed sale is that desire. And if they don't do that, if they decide they're not going to buy from you, it's because you haven't followed through with one or all of those 6 factors we talked about. Now think about it. That guy on the cruise ship who was selling the smoothies, the fruit smoothies. Did I really need a fruit smoothie? No, not exactly. Okay. In the morning, I wanted something refreshing to drink, but there was plenty of other things to do. So I had a need, but not necessarily a need for exactly what he was offering. Okay. But he did have a solution. He said, this is an option for me. But what he was a master at, a true master at, was those 6 factors. He closed me on those 6 factors so that emotionally, he didn't sell to my anger. He didn't sell to my sadness. He didn't sell to my fear. He sold to my happiness. He brought me happiness. Now, for me, helping those people in the ocean. For some reason, we allowed these emotions to cloud the event instead of me trying to turn this into a happy event. I look back now, and sure, the emotions were crazy and it was a wild moment. But maybe I could have done a better job from the very beginning. Maybe I could have joked with him. Maybe something like going, hey, it's going to be okay. It's going to be okay. Look, your wife is fine. She's fine. You're going to be okay. And tried to drive home more of a happy experience. Like, I'm really here to help both of you. Instead, I allowed his anger to create anger within myself. Now, I thank God and I knock on wood. I hope they're still happy and healthy. I hope that they found a way to smile about the event, and I hope they're reminiscing about it and laughing about it. I take it as a great life lesson. So now you're probably looking, going, okay, Marty, this is great. I'm supposed to come up with a way to control my emotions and to control my customers' emotions. Okay, how do we do this? Wow, if I had the answer, it would be incredible. I would love to share that answer with you, but I'm going to hint at it because I think that there's ways towards it, but it's up to you to grow as an individual. To change your customers' emotions, you've got to go back to what I'd said before about these 6 factors. Start out with the fondness. Become a likable person. And I know it's very difficult to do when it's split seconds. But you've got to come up with a way to build that trust, that likability. Come across as the authority, like I am a lifeguard. I am here to save you, so that they build that credibility and that trust within you. Okay. Consistency. There was no way for me to build consistency, but for you on a regular basis, I want you to learn to build that consistency, because then people's emotions will turn towards happiness. Testimonies, out of stock, and reciprocation are things you're going to work with when you've got customers that you're working with at a long period of time, not for a quick sale. So again, how do we end up doing this? I want all of you to download this form that I've created. Okay. This form is my happiness worksheet. And what this is going to do is it's going to help you. It is going to help you gain your own happiness. It's going to help you learn. Listen to this. It's going to help you learn to take control of your own emotions. Okay. I know everyone out there is going, I got control of my own emotions. I can do this on my own. No. How often do you allow yourself to get angry in a day? How often do you allow something to sadden your day? How often does something come to you that just makes you a little bit afraid? Something that you fear happens. Okay, I'm talking about kids and adults, all of us. We face those kinds of things every single day. So what I want you to do is I want you to take this sheet, okay? And it's one sheet, but print it out 3 times. Print it out 3 times, and I want you to work on this for an entire week. You can see each sheet is 1 week's worth of work. It's not a lot of work. Don't say, I'm not filling out this form. I'm not going to live by a form. Just do this. Do this. Humor me on this. And for 3 weeks, just do this. Every day, you can see this is it. This is it for Monday, just this one little square. And what you're going to do is you are going to say, write down one thing that angered you. So at night, Monday night, tonight, you write down one thing that angered you. And just write something, maybe just 1 or 2 words about the event. Something that just got you a little bit mad. Okay? If you didn't get something mad, everything gets us a little upset. Then rank it in this little square. Give yourself a square to say, on a scale of 1 to 10, how angry was I? Then mark down something that scared you. Something that just, maybe it's a financial issue. Maybe it's something that happened to one of the kids. Maybe it's something that happened in the office. You're afraid you're going to lose a big customer or something like that. Write down something like that and score that on a scale of 1 to 10. And then lastly, something that saddened you. Something that just didn't go the way it was supposed to. Something unexpected that just took the skip out of your step. That's what I want you to write here. And I want you to scale that from 1 to 10. At the end of the day, you total that up and you come up with a number. Now on this side, it's all about happiness. And I want you to write 3 things. 3 things. Remember, the other ones were only 1 each. This time I want you to write 3 things And I want you to number those from 1 to 10. How happy was that event? Okay. And you're going to total that up. Now, in the beginning, when you do this, depending on what type of person you are, maybe the negative feelings are going to outnumber the happy feelings. But the more you do this, what this is going to do is this is going to force you to stress on happiness. The more you do this, and you do this day after day after day, suddenly it happens. A change in the numbers flip around and the happiness numbers pop up and they become bigger. And if you do this every day for 3 weeks, that's 21 days. Notice how I did that math really quick. 21 days, you do that, I promise you, you will have a change, a metamorphosis within yourself. You will automatically become a happier person, and you'll be reminded to become happier every single time you do this. All right. Every time something makes you angry, you'll be thinking about what makes you happy. Every time something makes you sad, you'll be filled with ideas that make you happy. Every time you're afraid of something, you'll picture these silver linings. That's what I want you to do. And all right, and I can see and I can hear that all of you are listening. You're like, okay, Marty, you're always smiling. Is this true? Because if it is, I want this magic. I want to try this. And I'm like, yes, I want you to try it. So how do you get this form? Really easy. Up here on the top, you see my website, masterhappiness.com/the secret. The secret. Put it all as one word. Masterhappiness.com, the secret. And you're going to come here. This is what you're going to see, this page. And up here in the corner is my square where it gives you a link to these episodes on the Diamond Factor experience with Barbara Beckley. All right. Every Monday, I'm going to be here. So this will give you that link. And down here, right here, I have to take a look at it. There's a picture of a diamond. Okay, that little diamond. No one else knows about it. Okay, the only way you know what that diamond means is because you've watched the show with me here. Okay, so that diamond is your link. You click on that diamond, and that will show you that form. Every week, if you're a fan of this show, and I hope you are, and I hope you invite other people to watch the show, not only my show, but the entire week's worth of shows and the Diamond Factor experience, I want you to tell them about the diamond. Download it. Try this out. When you download this form, remember I told you download and make 3 copies. You know what? Don't make 3 copies, make 30 copies and give copies to friends. Okay, let's work together and make this a universal thing. Because if you can help 10 people become happier and they can help 10 people become happier, can you imagine the world we could live in? All right. So again, this show is about you're selling too hard. All right. And what I'm talking about when I tell you I want you to be happy, I want you to have fun doing this because we are always selling. No matter what we're doing, we are always selling. And I want you to be having fun. I want you to be happy. I don't want you to end your day going, man, what an awful day. I hated today and I'm angry. I don't want you to end the day going, oh man, I'm so sad. I just couldn't close those sales. I'm so sad. I had a fight with Bridget in the office. I'm so afraid that I'm going to lose my job. No, I don't want you to live a life like that. I want you to live a life of happiness. And this form I want you to download is one way for you to get there. So remember, ladies and gentlemen, we are always selling, always selling. I don't care if we are selling a product or a service, or if we're trying to convince someone that fruit smoothies are low calorie. I don't care if you are trying to convince somebody that those vests you use for snorkeling can save your life. No matter what you are doing, if you're not having fun, ladies and gentlemen, you're selling too hard. Thank you very much for another wonderful, wonderful Monday, and I cannot wait to see you next week. I'm going to pass it back to Barbara, and
Haiti borders with the Dominican.
Her name is Serena Buffalino. They call her Mrs. B, and her class always begins with a pledge.
Something local, something global. Haiti.
They're words that carry weight here. Helping yourself means helping others, giving back, here and a world away in Haiti.
And nobody's helping them, except for people like us.
It was through her the class learned of Haiti, of the nearly 1 million orphans, many with no school, no support, no Mrs. B in their lives.
They could not wrap their head around that.
Mrs. B's students are among Toronto's most at risk. Their challenges vary from emotional and behavioral difficulties to learning disabilities. Their trauma so severe they can't function in a regular school setting, and we aren't allowed to show most of their classmates.
For most of the kids, most of society has turned them away. And in this classroom, they're accepted. They're accepted no matter what for who they are.
Take Yolanda. She came here last year so burdened and withdrawn, she would often fall silent, sometimes for days on end. It was, she says, Mrs. B's patience, her quiet encouragement, that saved her.
She actually saves people's lives from dangers.
And perhaps that's why these marginalized kids feel such a kinship with the orphans of Haiti, and why they were moved to act.
And so when Yolanda and Jackie and Patrick said, well, Miss B, we need to build them a school.
Build a school, no easy task. They started out raising money. They sold samosas, washed cars, screened movies, you name it. And in just a few months, this little class raised $20,000. So much, it's not just a one-room schoolhouse they can build, but a full 3-story school. And so Mrs. B set off on a journey she'd dreamed of, up into the dusty mountains above Port-au-Prince to a town called Canaan. It's home to thousands of earthquake refugees who live with no running water, no electricity, and no school, until now. The first step was a temporary school. It's up and running. 53 students already in uniform. The permanent school for 250 is growing from its foundations.
It makes me want to cry because she just makes me feel so awed, and I'm very proud of her.
All of this because of a handful of students back in Canada, and Mrs. B, the teacher who believed in them.
These are for you.
At another fundraiser, a special tribute to the students, accepted by someone who, without Mrs. B, might not be here.
They believe in me and I believe in them, and together we not only change our lives, but we change the world around us.
For inspiring great things and seeing the potential in everyone, Serena Buffalino is this week's Everyday Hero.
This is the reason why I do what I do, is because of Yolanda and all the...
Good morning and happy Monday. Oh my God. I was sitting back listening to Marty, and when he said that the husband was still getting pissed off with him and he's trying to save both of them, I'm like, I'm getting pissed. I'm like, really? But you know, he's right. He's right. No matter what you're doing, you have to look at your emotions, you know, when you're doing anything. I mean, not just selling, but just in general. You know, I was thinking about relationship wise, business or personal, you know, I always tell people in my mind, first I get, you know, we're going to have emotions. I mean, we're human. I mean, that's going to happen. Let's just put it out there. It's going to happen. Sometimes you get upset, you're going to get sad, you're going to get worried, you're going to get fearful. We get that. Those are emotions. But then I always say, look at the bigger picture. Look at the bigger picture. Is this going to solve anything right now? Me being so pissed off right now. I need to get things done. And then sometimes afterwards, then maybe you can go into your feelings. But if it's an instant thing that you got to like take care of right away, you know, in the emotions is, you got to tone them down a little bit. But, you know, it happens. And I'm glad Marty brought that out because it does happen. It does happen where you have to, you know, look back and say, okay, what do I need to do? So Marty, you always give the tips. And I want to stress and ask, not tell you, but ask. Marty always, every week, he has some wonderful, wonderful forms that he tells you to go to use. I'm telling you, these are some awesome forms that's going to help you and give you those tips that is needed to help sell. And see, I know when people hear sell, sometimes they're like, oh, don't talk about sell. I gotta go sell. No, that's why I bring Marty on, because he makes it happy. He makes it fun, and he makes it a skill that, every way in life, when you think about it, we're selling. And it doesn't have to always be selling a product to get money. Sometimes, you're selling to say, you know what, I'm selling this nonprofit organization to let you know that this is a good cause, and I would love for you to be a part of it. That's kind of a selling thing, because basically you're trying to persuade someone to come over and help you. So it's not always a money thing. You always got to understand how to work that without sounding like he said salesy, but just coming from your heart. And that's what I tell you. If you come from your heart and not your mind all the time, you can sell an elephant to somebody. Because if you're coming from your heart and you really believe in it, and you believe that's going to help somebody else and solve their problems, there's no problem with that. Now, before we bring on, going to our next wonderful expert, Mrs. Trish Carr. Yes, the lady is in the house. And I just want to, again, before I go into this, because I was going to give you something positive, some kind of like, a quote or scripture or something like that. I just want to say thank you so much to all the experts that come on the show, especially Trish. She comes on once a month, and I know she has a lot on her plate. She's basically one of the co-founders of Women's Prosperity Network, which I am proud to be a member of as well. And a long time ago, I was a chapter leader for the Chicago area. But this is what I want to talk about, going into saying that, with being relationships and partnership with people and collaborating with people. No matter, I want to tell you, no matter how you go in life, make sure the relationships that you will have strongly, stay with those relationships, because you never know what's going to happen in life, that you still need each other. You still might need each other. You still can help each other out. Now, I know some people say, oh, I'm going to be needy. No, it's not so much a needing. We need to help each other. Let's just say that. It's good to have that foundation where you can go to somebody, especially I'm always talking about the women, because I always believe in, our mission is to help women succeed, understand their purpose, passion, drive, and move forward. But if we're not together, we're not creating a relationship with each other, then what's going on? I always ask that question, what is going on? Why can't we be with our, I call our sisters, with our women? And I look at all women as being sisters, because we have to help each other out. We have to grow with each other and help level up each other. If you see one person growing or struggling, pick that person up, have their back. I can get on my soapbox, but I got to bring on the queen. But saying all that is, this relationship was built a long time ago with me, Women's Prosperity Network, with the 3 sisters. And I'm telling you, I'm so glad. I feel like I'm in the family, and she's helping me out coming on the show. I try to help where I can in Women's Prosperity Network, being there. And it's just a beautiful, beautiful relationship. So I want to talk about relationships with this passage. A relationship is built on the foundation you build together. That's where it starts. Your relationships are a reflection of you. The best way to have a relationship with someone else is to have a relationship with yourself first. So that's one reason why you might have some struggles, because you got to have a relationship with you. You got to love you and appreciate yourself. What are your strengths? What are your weaknesses? All of us have something we want our egos to hide. In a relationship, you cannot hide, because you will see yourself in the other person. We help each other out. The best way to build a relationship is slowly. Have fun together, build good memories together, then allow your relationships to blossom into what God wants it to be. Today, become aware of all your relationships and enjoy doing that. So I just wanted to put that thought out there about really building relationship with somebody, and know the relationships that are positive and that are negative, because there's some negative ones that you got to, make that decision. But build on the ones that are really strong, that creates a positive synergy. And then the world sees that, and guess what? They tend to, it's a magnet. They tend to come to you with that relationship. So with that said, this relationship I have with Trish Carr and the Women's Prosperity, I appreciate it again. And we are going to, bring her on. I just love, she's going to be talking about, well, I'm not going to tell you what she's talking about, because then I will tell it. So I'm going to let her tell it. Here we go.
Barbara Beckley, you are a rock star. Thank you so much for having me here this morning. I am so thrilled, as always, to be here with you today. And the Diamond Factor experience is an amazing experience. So I'm so glad that all of you decided to be here with us this morning as well, or this evening or this afternoon, whenever it is you're watching this broadcast. And it is my pleasure to be here. I'm Trish Carr with Women's Prosperity Network that you can see over my shoulder. And it's all about communication. That's what we're going to be talking about today. You know, Warren Buffett, who is a billionaire, literally his net worth is over $100 billion. And I love the guy because he's down to earth. He's real. His kids work. He drives a Toyota. He's not a flashy guy. And he's built his money over time. And one of the things that I learned from him was he said that the fastest, easiest way to increase your net worth by 50% or more is to get really, really good at influential communication. So every month, that's what we talk about, is influential communication. As Marty said, you know, you're always selling something. As Barbara just pointed out, that something could be a project that you're working on. Maybe you're cleaning up your neighborhood and you want your neighbors to help you. Or maybe you're selling a product, or maybe you're inviting people to donate to a cause. It doesn't matter what it is you're asking people to work with you on, whether it's your own product or service or something else, like I just mentioned. You're always selling something. At the very least, you're selling yourself. So one of the ways to really sell is to be able to speak to groups of people at one time, whether you do that on Zoom, on Facebook Live, on Instagram stories, however you do it. It could be on a stage. We're getting back to being on stages in person. Yay, I'm excited about that. So however you're going to be communicating, why not communicate to a group of people rather than just to one person? Why spend an hour talking one-on-one when you can spend an hour talking one-on-50 or one-on-100 and so forth? Now, I know some of you get the little nervous, like Kevin in Home Alone. Oh, no, right? A little nervous. But here's the thing. The more you do it, the better you get at it. Now, sometimes, any of you have ever spoken before? Think about this. If you've ever spoken before, the one thing you do not want to have is that you can hear a pin drop unless you're in the middle of a dramatic story. But a speaker is definitely going to get energy from their audience. But before that can happen, you as the speaker, the person leading the discussion or the charge or the talk, you've got to bring the energy. You've got to bring it with you. And you've got to help your audience feel your energy. So some speakers are really good at opening well, but during the talk, it kind of gets boring and monotone. So what I want to share with you today is, number one, how do I start strong so that I'm bringing the energy? And how do I keep the energy up all the way through? And I'm going to give you a few techniques to do that. So you may want to get a pen and paper to write these down, or you may want to be on your laptop or your tablet and jotting it down. So the first thing is, how do I get engagement with my audience? And that's what we're talking about, is engagement. So you want to start off by being engaging. And let me give you 3 examples of how you can do that. The first one is, you could start with some kind of a grabber statement or some kind of a surprising statistic that when people hear it, they go, oh, that's interesting. So in this case, it could be something simple. Like, one of my clients works with health and wellness and weight loss. And the first words out of her mouth when she speaks is, in 1970, 1 in 10 children were overweight or obese. Today, it's 1 in 3. Let's talk about how your child becomes the 1 rather than part of the 3. So it's all about how to get that engagement. So a statistic is going to do it. Another one of my clients works with stress and dealing with stress in the workplace. And the statistic she starts with is 20 years ago, 1 in 5 employees were stressed to the point where it was affecting their life from their work. Today, it's 3 out of 5. So giving the comparison, both of those was a great way to give comparison. So start with some kind of a grabber statement that gets people's attention. That's an easy thing to do. And those you can get with statistics. You can also do it with a quote. I just did it with Warren Buffett's quote that makes a point, that makes the point, and the point that you're going to continue to make all the way throughout your talk. The second thing you can do is very simple, and that is to ask a couple of questions that people will say, yes, I want that. Yes, I'm excited you're here to talk about that. So for example, it could be something very simple like, raise your hand if you'd like to have more clients and more money in your bank account. And then you could follow it up with, and keep your hand raised if you want that to happen right now. Simple. 2 questions, both of which say yes. Everyone in your audience will say, yes, I'm raising my hand to that. And both of those questions go to the point that you're going to be making in your talk. So a grabber statement or asking a couple of questions. The third way is by telling a story. Now, you've got to be good at telling stories. So they've got to be succinct. They've got to be to the point. I love one that I tell, and it's really a joke. And I use it for a lot of different things. The most important thing is that your story has a point and that your story goes to what it is you're going to be talking about. So, for example, I have one where I tell this story about I was at a local hospital, and a group of us were going through the hospital with a tour with one of the nurses because they wanted to get the local community leaders more involved in the hospital and get donations and things like that. So the whole time we're there, there's a man who is making all kinds of rude comments like, oh, look at these sickos here. And I mean, everything he said was just off color and not appropriate. And we get to the floor that is the psychiatric ward. And he says, oh, you got some crazies living here. And he's going on and on about crazy people and things like that. And then he said to the nurse, he said, so how do you know who's a crazy person and who's a sane person? And she said, well, we give them a test. She says, the first thing we do is we put them in a room, and in that room is a bathtub full of water. And there's a bucket, a ladle, and a bowl. And they have to empty. That's the whole idea. We put them in the room, we close the door, and we say, go ahead and empty the bathtub. And the guy goes, oh, I bet the crazies use the little ladle. Oh, she says, no, no, that's really not how it works. Well, how do you know who's normal and who's not? She says, well, the normal people go over and pull the plug. Perhaps we should find a bed for you, Mr. Jones. We have one by the window. So it's just a cute little joke. But from there, my point is that when it comes to leadership, we're always looking at everybody else and what everybody else is doing when we really want to turn the mirror to ourselves, because leadership starts with us. And how are you showing up as a leader? Simple, a story. So 3 different ways that you can start. Grabber statement or statistic or quote, something that's going to grab people's attention. The second thing is to ask a couple of open questions, asking people to raise their hands if they agree. And those 2 questions go to your audience knowing, oh, that's what I want. That's what she's going to be talking about. Or the third way is to tell either a fun story or a story that goes to your point. That's how you start. Now that you've started and you've gotten some energy going, right? You get your audience up and laughing or having a good time or being engaged by raising their hand, because that physical raising your hand is another way of engaging. Just by moving, I'm getting more engaged. But now that you're there, you've got to keep that engagement. So here are a few examples. Number one is you can use phrases that bring them in. So you don't always want people like shouting out answers at you, but you do want them thinking. So you could say things like this: has this ever happened to you before? Or you can relate to that, can't you? Or maybe you could ask an open question that fills in the blank. So you might say something like, that book by Napoleon Hill, many of you have heard it. It's called Think and Grow and Let Them Finish the Rich. Or you can ask a question. And it's fun to use visuals. Let me give you an example of a visual that you can use that would be fun. So I do a talk about decision making. And hopefully you can see my screen now. So here's a visual that I created for the decisions conversation that I have. Because, right, you're standing there and you're going your head. Now, I can have them really engage by asking them a simple question. And the question would be, how many decisions do you think you make on a daily basis? Just think, how many decisions do you make on a daily basis? And then they can raise their hand or they can shout it out. And I could say, okay, 1,000, very good, close. How about 10,000, close? And then I just click my clicker and the answer comes in. 35,000 times a day, you're making a decision. 35,000 times. So simply by using a simple and easy slide, you can have a visual, which adds more excitement to your talk. Just that in and of itself. I'm going to go get another visual for you. When you do that kind of thing, it gets people engaged because they get to answer the question and they feel really good when they get it close or they get it right. So you can ask a question and use visuals. The other thing about using visuals with PowerPoint or Keynote is you want to make sure that you're using mostly pictures, yet not a lot of words. The words should be coming from you. They don't need to read a slide of a bunch of words. What they want to do is see a picture that's worth 1,000 words, that brings the energy of what it is you're talking about. Another really fun thing you can do is play little games. And again, you can do this with PowerPoint or Keynote. So for example, when I talk to a group, sometimes I'll talk about things aren't always what they seem, and there can always be two sides to a story. So I'll show this slide. Now, when you look at this slide, what do you see? Some of you might see a rabbit. Others of you might see a duck, right? So it could be either one of those two things. And it's fun. Here's something else that's fun. Many of you have seen this one. Do you see a young lady or do you see an older lady? A young lady or an older lady? So there's two different ways to look at it. And whenever you can use something that brings the attention to a game or something fun, it's going to make a difference for your audience and it's going to keep the energy. Another thing you could do is use what's called an acrostic. I believe it's acrostic. We call it an acronym most of the time. So I do a talk, and the talk is all about desire. And when I speak to the audience about it, I tell them I'm going to tell them 6 things that can really make a difference for them so that they get that desire. And I do D stands for, E stands for, S stands for, I stands for, R stands for, and E stands for, right? So using that acronym is a way to keep your audience engaged. Another thing you can do is make sure you're clear in providing examples. So bring your content to life as much as you can. So I could say, a book is a great thing, Or I could have a book in my hand and say, a book like this is a wonderful thing. This is a wonderful thing, by the way. So bring it to life as much as you can. Show a short video that's kind of fun. There's so many great little videos on YouTube and TikTok that are minute long, that are fun. And it's just interjecting into your talk to keep the energy going. You can do a quiz and ask 5 questions and have them write down the answers and see how many they get right. All of these things go to your audience feeling good about you and about your talk. So remember to bring the energy from the beginning, opening with a grabber statement, maybe a couple of questions or a story, and then keep them engaged by asking simple, open questions that make them nod their head, like, has this ever happened to you? Or you can relate to that, right? Or open questions that fill in a blank. Oh, I saw this great movie. It was called Forrest. What is it again? And let the audience tell you because they feel good. Lead them in a game, show a short video, provide examples, use an acrostic. There are so many ways that you can keep your audience involved and engaged. And the more you do that, the easier it's going to be for them to know you, like you, and trust you. And when they do that, the next thing that happens is they say, here's my credit card. I want whatever it is you're showing me because I know you can make a difference for me. You can reach me at trish@trishcarr.com. And I also invite you to go to speakingforfunandprofit.com, speakingforfunandprofit.com, and get your copy of the Speaker Profitizer, which gives you more information on how you can be engaging from the stage. Thank you, my Diamond Factor Experience friends. I look forward to seeing you again next month. Go out there and get your message out, make some money, and make a difference.
I'm hanging on your every word, the love inside, I feel it burn. I've never felt this way before. I've had a taste, now I want more. So here we are, just you and me. I'm overwhelmed when you touch me. You talk so sweet, I hear the sound, 'cause when you do, my feet won't touch the ground. My feet won't touch the ground.
Every time I hear that music, I was like, yes, 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 it's Monday. So everybody see power pack, power pack, power pack. We had Master Happiness Marty Jalove come on, talk about his experience and basically, just looking at your emotions when you're selling and when you're marketing. And then we had the awesome Queen Trish Carr give us some wonderful tips. And please, I want to ask, this is an ask. These are some awesome experts that come on this show. They're given their 25-minute time that they can be doing anything else. They really can. They have a business. They have things to do. But they come on this show because they want to make sure that you are creating impact in the world. With their gifts and their genius that they share with us on this show, reach out to them. And if you say to yourself, well, I really don't need that particular person, you know what? You might know somebody that needs the coaching and the experience and the mentoring from Trish or Marty or anybody else that comes on the show. So get their information, write it down, reach out, make that what I'm going to say that I talked about earlier, relationship. Because you never know how it's going to turn out. You might be a potential client, you might be a business partner, you might be a person like a influencer between one to another, where, like I said, somebody else might need the services, whatever it may be. Reach out to these wonderful experts. Like I said, they have the genius and gifts. And what I always say, they're PPD, their purpose, passion, and drive in them that's showing up, not even in their own lives, but is showing up in the Diamond Factor Experience show. So I just want to repeat what I said earlier about relationships. It's really, really important because you can't, people think that they can do things on their own. And, I get it. We want to be independent and everything. But a lot of times, being collaborating together creates that independent even more, because guess what? You can grow with each other and be independently with your own companies, but to be together to rise up together independently. So a relationship is built on the foundation you build together. Relationships are a reflection of you. The best way to have a relationship is with somebody else, is to have a relationship with yourself first. So I just want to say, make sure you're building your own relationship within you. It's so important that you love you. And I know a lot of people hear a lot of, motivational speakers and everything say, love yourself, you gotta love yourself or whatever. But you know what? They're right. It always starts here. It has to start here, because you can't show love, you can't receive love or anything if you don't love you. And believe me, I know, because time ago, I didn't love myself. I didn't love myself at all. I thought I was just the worst person in the world, because that's what I was receiving when I was growing up. I was bullied badly when I was younger. A lot of people know the story, and not to give so much to me, but just to bring it home to you, just like Trish said, stories help bring the point. So when I was bullied long time when I was younger, it still stayed with me into my teenage and then adulthood, in a sense, where, even when I was trying to take risks and try to build relationships or whatever, I always thought I was, just that, oh, well, they said I was stupid. They said I wouldn't go nowhere. So maybe that's a hint. Maybe I shouldn't do this. But see, I had to change the focus on that really quick, because my life would have been miserable. First of all, I wouldn't have got a chance to meet these wonderful people that are in this show right now. I wouldn't have been a part of Women's Prosperity Network. I wouldn't have been a chapter leader. I would have been none of that if I didn't change the way I was thinking about myself. So think about what you are, and you are brilliant. You're just brilliant. You're amazing, and all the other adjectives that I can think of in a positive way. But just to let you know, but see, I can say it all day and all night to you. I always tell people that, but you have to say it for yourself, and you have to believe in it, not just here, but you got to believe it in your heart. And then once you do that, then everything else starts coming. It starts telling you. It just all comes together, and then you build those wonderful relationships that are meant to be, and then everyone grows together. So with that, I want to thank each and every one of you coming on the Diamond Factor Experience Show with Barbara Beckley and experts and friends. I got to add those, because it wouldn't be a show if I didn't have my experts, if I didn't have special guests that come on. So again, to remind everybody, we are on not 3 days out the week anymore. Last week we started the whole week. So you'll see us Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, the whole week. And I was like, boy, I got to get some extra coffee in the morning. I said, woo. We did the first week last week. I said, now I understand what Oprah was dealing with. But that's okay, because I'm trying to get to that status anyway. So this is just a rehearsal. This is a rehearsal. So I'm glad and I'm proud that I'm able to bring you hopefully a lot of value, a lot of awareness, and a lot of motivation every morning on the Diamond Factor Experience Show. Tomorrow we'll have Aneri. She'll be coming on for her Impact Show. Now remember, she's on for a whole hour. Last week it was powerful. She had two co-hosts on, and they were just, really talking about their stories and how they went from this to the valleys, to the lows and the highs, and they're just this, awesome people. And that's what happens. I'm loving how all of them always kept saying that they did not want to be a victim of their stories in life. They want to be victorious. And that's what we should, strive for in whatever goes on in our lives. So she's going to be bringing the Impact Show tomorrow, 8 o'clock Central Time, 9 o'clock Eastern Time. Okay. And all the other time zones, just kind of figure it out. I try to give either Eastern and Central where I'm at to give you just an idea. So with that said, I just want to wish everybody well. Again, love on you. Remember what your PPD is, your purpose, passion, drive in life, not for just yourself, but so others can flow in your genius and your gifts that you bring. And that's what I call your foundation, the Diamond Factor. You take care, and I will see you tomorrow morning. Take care.